YouTube.
Welcome.
A little rock and roll on a Friday morning, or whenever this goes live.
It's live right now, man.
It's live right now on the Twitch and YouTube. I think I let it go too long. There you go. I went a little longer than normal. I'm sorry. Hey, this is Chris. This is Mike. This is the Chris and Mike Show, live on Twitch and YouTube. And we have a very special guest today, Martha Birch. Is that how I say it? Birch?
Birch.
Birch.
Burridge.
Why?
Yes.
Birch. Yeah, because I see the I. So Birch.
Welcome, Martha.
Welcome. John Mellencamp has a song called Martha Say. Did you know that?
That's a great song.
Yeah.
I just heard it about 3 days ago.
Yeah, it's a good song. It
What
has
a good
absolutely
song.
nothing to do with our Martha that's visiting us right now, but it's a good song for sure. So
I
give
know
us a
Martha, my dear, from
okay.
That's
Oh
a
yeah,
great
that's one
song
too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's from his. I think it's his Big Daddy album. Yeah, it's from his Big Daddy album.
Yep.
So we won't go there because YouTube will shut us down. So they'll block it because we can't do that all the time. So Martha, tell us who you are and why you're here. Aside from the
boy,
fact
that's
that
a
Mike
really
and I
good
like. It's a great question, right?
All right, Chris, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Mom loved my brother better. That's
That's
fine.
right.
I had to prove myself all my life. And I wrote this book. Look, Mom, I finally did something better than my brother, okay?
I love it, Martha.
I tell you that because really that is kind of, my brother was a genius. He still is. He still is.
Okay.
He's 7 years older than me.
Okay.
There's a picture. There's a very early picture. My dad's fixing his car. My brother is 2 years old. I'm not even in the picture in the world yet. And my little 2-year-old brother has tool in his hand, handing it to my father to help him with the car. So, those two were like this from the time the kid was born. And my brother became a mechanical engineer. He
Wow.
took a car apart and put it back together before he was 16, built
Wow.
a TV when he was 10. I mean, legitimately, he was a genius. He had his own
Yeah.
business. And so my mother, all my life, oh, your brother's so smart. Your brother's a genius, blah, 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 blah. What am I, chopped liver? So, and I do want to warn you, you probably already know this. If you have more than one child, you'll hear that. Let's just face it, till the day you die. Let's face it.
Well, the way I approached mine, because I have one of each, a boy and a girl. So when they would ever, be like, "Oh, I'm your favorite," well, yeah, you're my favorite daughter, or yeah, you're my favorite son, But I never said which one was my actual favorite because honestly, they were my favorites in different ways because they just personality-wise completely opposite. Like you couldn't have had two kids that were just completely different from one another. So. And I'm not mechanically inclined. I can't build a car or a TV. So, my wife did all that. like when we moved in our house, like we live on an acre and I needed something other than a push mower. So I found this Cub Cadet, 0 turn radius lawnmower thing. And my wife put it together because I don't have the patience. Right. I don't have the patience for that shit. We just got bikes. We're teaching the little man how to ride a bike, so I went online and I found this thing called Bike Savers, where you put these kind of like climbing, when you're doing rock climbing, it's kind of like these brackets look
Yeah.
like that. And I looked at her last night. I said, "I know what you're doing tomorrow," and she's like, "What?" I was like, "We got to put up the Bike Savers after the show." She's like, "We?" I'm well, okay. I'll hold the drill while you make the holes, which
By
is
we,
fine.
you
Yeah,
meant
which is
you.
Which is, I never had patience for it. And that went back to my drinking days that I just didn't have, when I had to put something together, I didn't have patience for it. So then she would take over and that just kind of carried through the rest of my life. So,
We have that in common. I am not mechanically inclined either. And I had a brother as well,
your point
Martha,
about you
who
love-
was the same way. He
Yeah.
can do anything. The thing that we had, where we parted ways, is my parents all treated us the same. They were very good about expressing their love for our own unique skill set, right? So I'll commend them for that. But my brother is just like your brother. He can do anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. He drives me nuts.
Yeah. See, my mom was
Sure.
equal. My mom was equal. Wow, how do I phrase it? She equally destroyed us both. So it wasn't just her being a bad mother to me. It was equally. It was equal. Like, she beat us both. She yelled at us both. She it was just mom. It's okay. It is what it is. I'm not one of those. Oh, look at me. That's how I grew up. That's part of who I am today. If I wasn't beaten and abused and kicked out of the house, I wouldn't be sitting here today the person I am, because that's just part of who I am. So I'm not that, woe is me, point the finger. No, it is what it is, man. So
And it's
you,
still,
Mark,
but it's still stuff that comes up for you. It's still stuff that comes up.
ran,
Jack
ran,
Canfield, the
yeah,
guy with Chicken Soup for the Soul
yeah,
and all that success principles. He's like 81 now. He went to a workshop like 3 years ago,
okay,
and he discovered something about when he was a kid that had actually been affecting him all his life, that he had forgotten about, but was working, operating in the background. I have a friend whose
wow,
father, these are some really, this is a horrible story, but her dad, when she was young, he was a terrible alcoholic, and he would come home drunk, and he would tell her she lived upstairs. Upstairs, she was like 7, and he said, come
wow,
down here, and she said, no, if I do, you'll sick the dogs on me. He had Rottweilers, and he said, if you don't come down here, I'm going to send the dogs up. This is what she lived with all her
Wow.
life. She became a
yeah,
very heavy duty drug addict and alcoholic. And
mm,
she forgave her father. I'm gonna start crying. I don't know how she did it. I said, "How did you forgive your father?" But in his older years, he needed help. He became older
yeah.
and infirm. She cared for him. I said, "My God, how could you forgive him?" But she
See,
did.
see,
So you know what? Anything's possible.
the thing about that I've noticed, like there's this family we followed for years. There's two families we followed for years in Chicago, the Milkoviches and the Gallaghers. And one of the Gallagher's accidentally shot a gun in the air, and it came down and hit Terry Milkovich in the back of the head and like paralyzed him, but he was still, head up, he was fine. And he was a terrible father to Mickey. Just beat him senseless. Just they had games like Catch the Dagger, where you had to catch the dagger his dad was throwing at him. And so once he became paralyzed, Mickey had all this hate, inside him about towards his father, rightfully so. But he ends up taking care of him until he dies. And ironically enough, they had hired several nurses to take care of him, but they couldn't stand Terry because he was a racist asshole. So they had this retired nun take care of him, and they came home from work, and the nun was on the front porch with a rosary. And he's like, well, he's gone. And Mickey's like, what are you talking about? She's gone. He's like, well, I killed him. And they went inside, and sure enough, they had a bag tied around Terry's face, and he suffocated. She killed him.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
It's 2 weeks in a row. It's crazy, right, Mike? You got it? It's but what I'm getting at, Martha, that's a show called Shameless. What I'm getting at, that happens a lot in life where the kids are traumatized. Now, in my situation, it won't happen because when my mother dies, I'm gonna, be happy, for lack of a better term. But I won't take care of her. But it does happen a lot in life where I've seen it, and you've seen it, like you had your friend. I'm sure Mike's seen it, that you have this total chaotic upbringing. And then for some stupid reason, you as the child feel obligated to take care of this person who was the root of all your evil. I don't get that at all. It's kind of like that nurse syndrome, right? I forget what the phrase is. You know what I'm talking about? The nurse thing, like, hell, I can't get it off the top of my head, but when you fall in love with a nurse, right? What's that called? You remember what I'm talking about? Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody? But yeah, so I don't get that. You have any insight on that, Martha? Why that would be? Is it just the trauma of the child, and he wants to like get, he needs to get not the gratification. What is? I'm dropping words today. I can't. My brain's all foggy. I don't know. Anyway, have a nice day.
Well, it's a Christian principle. Forgiveness is a Christian principle. Our
Right.
parents are the first people in our lives, and when they don't treat us right,
Right.
something went wrong. But you know the saying, hurt hurt people.
Right.
And you know what? Let's totally go to a new topic. Oh,
Yeah.
before we do, the first quote in my book,
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we're talking about this. If I were to search for the core of difficulties in people, as I have come to know them, it is that in a great majority of cases they despise themselves, regarding themselves as worthless and unlovable. That's from Dr. Carl Rogers. That's
Huh?
on the couple first pages of Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children. And this is why the whole book was written,
Yeah.
because we constantly see ourselves as unlovable and nobody's going to love us and I'm not good enough. I played that game a long time with my
Sure.
brothers. Yes. And sometimes I still make jokes. I make a lot of jokes about it. But this is why a lot of people, I have to tell a lot of addicts in recovery, stop kicking your own butt.
Yeah.
Stop. Why do you keep kicking your own butt? But they do that because of this. Because in the great majority of cases, they despise themselves and see themselves as worthless and unlovable. And this is really what we're doing when we're raising children. Here we are feeling worthless and unlovable and not good enough.
Right.
And then we're trying to raise our children to feel good about themselves. So then what do we do? What do we do is we try to make them happy. But the key to that happiness, searching for happiness isn't what we need in our lives. What we need is to
Right.
search for usefulness and to help others.
Oh.
Then the happiness comes from that. But we've got it all backwards. Another reason I wrote this book is when our son was 4, oh Lord, that
Okay.
child was spoiled. Why? Because we thought we were trying to raise a child. And we thought the
Right.
way to happiness was you never say no. Oh, were
Yeah.
we wrong? Oh my
Right.
goodness. So
Right.
everything I learned, I
That's awesome. What's that book? What's the title of that
so
book
yeah,
again?
that's yes, yes, you can raise happy,
Okay.
responsible children. Available at Amazon and endorsed by the Dean of Self-Esteem himself, Jack Canfield. This whole cover is Jack's endorsement. This book has the potential to transform the lives of families worldwide. And you know what? I know that's true because it transformed the life of my family. And I used all the information from this book to when I was teaching child psychology. I was a child psychology professor for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I was a high
Nice.
school special education teacher for 16. And I had students, I had stuff to kill you.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, now,
Yeah.
hon.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
the information I
Stop.
put in this book is what I used to deal with my students.
Yeah. You don't want to kill me. That's just your anger talking.
Oh, now, dear. Oh,
Simmer
now,
No,
down.
hon.
no. Yeah. I mean, now some of it though, you have to take it from a school standpoint. You have to take that serious because luckily my wife's a teacher. She's only been referenced in one kill list in her entire career, which was good,
Hmm.
because other teachers I'm sure are, that's just the youth today. But that's interesting. So you when we came before we came on the air, we kind of started talking, and it was such a good conversation. I was like, gold moments. We got to get started. I want to go back to the conversation of I want to talk about I want to talk about your life resume because you referenced being I don't remember if you said in jail or prison, but I want to talk about how you ended up there to where you are now. And I don't want you giving up a lot about your book because we want people to go buy your book. So you
Absolutely.
can dangle little carrots like you're doing, which is great, but don't go diving deep into your book because we want to boost your sales by you being on the show because we're all about helping people who grace us with their presence to help them, accomplish what they want to accomplish. And for you, I'm assuming we want people to come out there and start, grabbing your book and things like that. So let's talk about Martha, your life resume and how you went from that scenario behind, locked behind closed doors to where you are now, empowering parents, to raise happy and responsible children in a day and age where that doesn't seem possible. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. In
go
fact,
ahead.
I'm going to court to support a father Tuesday. I'm going to court to support a father Tuesday who got in a tussle with his teenage son.
Okay.
And, the man's a good dad, but they got in a disagreement about social media,
Mm,
the phone use, et cetera, et cetera.
right.
So I think dad pushed the child and pushed him, and the kid got scratched somewhere. Police were called. Now dad's going to court as a child abuser. So
Ah,
anyway, yeah, I was never in jail myself,
okay.
but because I taught high school for 16 years, I thought, who better to take AA into the jail than me?
Oh, right
I ain't
on.
afraid
Yeah,
of nothing.
that's
So,
cool.
That's
so
awesome.
I went to the jail for 4 years. I took a weekly AA meeting.
Okay.
It was a very, very, very interesting experience. I had I got to tell you this, one gal in there. She was about 5 months pregnant, I think, when I got there, and she was a meth addict.
Oh,
But when she found out
oh,
she was pregnant, she stopped taking meth.
that's
And
good.
then she and her mother-in-law were both in jail at the same time. I don't quite understand what was going on there. But anyway, that's a whole other
Wow.
story. So we're sitting around at our AA meeting, and we're talking about when the baby gets here, because she was going to get out of jail by
Mm.
then. And everybody's telling her, "Oh man, when that baby gets here, you're not gonna get any sleep." Blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, just as innocently and plainly as anything, like, "I'm gonna have a ham sandwich tomorrow." She said, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back on meth."
Oh God.
Oh no.
Oh God. I mean,
So everybody's like, "What?"
Not
what?
So
What?
luckily,
not a good game plan.
that's addicts and alcoholics for you. We, we,
Yeah.
we don't think
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't think straight. But anyway, so luckily she had a few months to stay straight and
Okay.
to have people talk to her and say, "No, you're not going to do that,
Yeah.
hon.
Yeah.
That's not going to
Yeah.
help." Well, anyway, so she gets before she got out of jail, her mother died.
Mm.
When she then a month later, so then when she got home out of jail, she had to bury her mother.
Okay.
Then a month later, her father died, and she
Oh,
still did not go back to drugs or
good
alcohol.
job. Good
Um,
job.
she had her baby. I think the baby's like, I don't know, 1 or 1.5 now, and that she just had another baby.
Wow.
And they're doing fine. She and the dad got married. He's doing good.
Sweet.
So there's a success story. People think that meth, and especially for her to say that at that meeting that time, you think, "Oh dear."
Hmm.
But she posts all the time, and she has an absolutely beautiful family, and she's just getting better and better and better.
That's awesome.
Anything is possible. People have to realize, you know what? Addiction is not a death sentence if you
Right.
don't let it be. And if you do the things you need to be, I go to AA. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And if you
Yeah.
follow that path, life, the promises say you will live a different life. And I have to say, I live a life of my dreams. Why? Because I chose to put down the bottle. But for me, I was basically a binge drinker and drank on the weekends. So I never got a DUI. I never got any of that.
Yeah.
And but I was still an alcoholic because I could never drink just one. I could never drink just one. That
The
just was
one
And
thing that
impossible.
you just
But
said though,
anyways,
Martha, the one thing that you just said is you chose to put it down, right? So the
oh yeah,
where we're gonna part ways is I agree with any program is great as far as the person made that choice themselves to be there. You have to make the choice. That's the first thing and the most important thing.
that's right.
Yep.
That's
Just
right.
going
That's
to
right. But
that
AA worked
meeting,
for me. There's tons, tons. Yeah, there's tons of ways to get sober. But
there's
like you
just too
said, you
many
got to make
people
that
that are
decision.
forced into those situations, and that's never going to work. That's
Yeah, the
where
police make a lot of people go there. Yeah, when
Hmm.
they get caught. But Chris, you got to make two decisions. The first decision is I'm sick and tired of this. I
Hmm.
want to change. Here's a second decision. You're bored. You're sitting at home, you got nothing to do. What's the first thing you think of? Drinking.
Yeah.
You're at the gas
Sure.
station getting gas. You look in the window, there's your favorite bottle of booze.
Hmm.
Your drug addict, your drug dealer comes around and says, "Hey, I got some," because he's a good businessman who's got money,
Right.
and he wants your money again. Then you got to make the second decision.
well, that's
Again and
something that
again and
him and
again.
I say all the time is I agree with you. I'll agree with you 100% there because Chris and I have preached that a lot. His choice was exercise, running. That's what he fills his time with. I chose to dive back into music again, right? So when I'm feeling that way, I pick up my guitar or I listen to music or whatever. I go for a drive or I make that conscious choice to not do that too. So I'll agree with you 100% on both those things. But it is very important for people to understand that that person has to make the choice. Just sending little Johnny to AA because you choose for him to stop drinking is not going to make little Johnny stop drinking.
Hmm. Yeah. And
That's
if you've
right.
watched any
It
of our
is
stuff,
not. It is.
if you've watched any of our stuff, I'm a big component. Like I went to AA, but my approach to it was that God didn't make me drink, so God's not going to make me stop. I'm the one that put the beer in my hand. I'm the one that's got to to keep the beer out of my hand. So there's a little, didn't kind of jive with all the principles of AA because everybody's all about higher power and by the grace of God, I stopped. I'm sober for X amount of
But
years,
you do say
which is
that the
great.
tenets of the program work, like just the
Yeah.
accountability work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I got it. My thing was a chip. When I realized you got a chip for 24 hours and in 30 days, 60, 90 days, that was my proof to my wife, like, hey, look, here's my 24-hour chip. And then when I was going to get my 30-day chip, once I got my 30-day chip, I gave her my 24-hour chip. I'm like, here, and she's like, what is this? I'm like, that's every time I get a chip, I'm going to give it to you, because that way I'm continuing down the path of being sober, which she knew, but you can attest to it. So can Mike. So can all the other addicts out there. The sober version of you is different than the addicted version of you, whatever that looks like. I couldn't be listened to. I couldn't be reasoned with. I'm sorry, I wouldn't listen. I couldn't be reasoned with.
We have that in common for sure.
Right. And I wasn't a binge. I was functional. I started out as a binge drinker, and that led to being functional. And then the more loopy I got, then the more stupid I became. But I wasn't violent. I wasn't aggressive in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't verbally assaultive like I grew up with in my household. I was just not there emotionally. I tell the story all the time that there was a Christmas where I wrapped up. I got her a pair of diamond earrings, which was a big deal at the time because, neither one of us came from anything really that we could afford to do things like that. And so, I wrapped it up, and she was in the great room, and I turned the corner, and I tossed them at her. I'm like, Merry Christmas, and walked away. And, I remember the look on her face. She was like, kind of like, what? But it was me compensating and trying to mask what I knew subconsciously I was doing by not being there not being there emotionally, and kind of just being there as a vessel of a human and nothing else. So it's interesting that we all have different avenues of sobriety and our addiction, but the addicted person is completely different than the sober person, and people that don't live with that and don't interact with that, which I think is why probably Al-Anon came to play. It makes you understand the dynamic of the addict a little bit more so than just randomly like, oh, he's an addict, he's an asshole, blah, 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 So that's a good point, though, for sure. I went off on a tangent.
That other path is an important point, too, because I'm sure Martha would agree, sitting in that jail with all these different kinds of addicts, a meth addict is not the same as an alcoholic.
No.
Right?
For sure.
I was a meth addict all
That's
the way
true.
down to the point of psychosis, right? So I followed it all the way down to just right before death.
Yeah.
And an alcoholic goes down that same path. I watched it with a good friend of mine. You can drink yourself to the point where you have to drink to survive.
Yeah.
And then you watch them lose all their color, right? It's a horribly sad thing to watch. It is. But both paths lead you to the same place, to the grave, eventually.
Yeah. Yep. So how did you start? How did you get into the jails to do AA?
Yeah,
Martha?
because well, okay, I was sitting in a meeting one day. I think I was about, how was I? Okay, I was 2 or 3 years sober. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sitting in a meeting, and I'm like, man, I'm bored. And I live with my brother. He's got 37 years of sobriety yesterday.
Yeah. Oh,
But anyway,
nice
I
job.
moved in with him when I was about 4 months sober. I moved in
Okay.
with him. But anyway, so I'm at this meeting, and I'm like, man, I'm bored. So I opened my big mouth when it came my turn to talk, and I said, I'm getting kind of bored at these meetings. I don't know. I'm going to have to go to different meetings. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, it just so happened the guy on the corrections committee was sitting across the table. He comes up to me afterwards. He goes, I'm on the corrections committee. I'm going to email you the application to go to the jail.
Sweet. Right on.
Instant, right? Instant.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I filled out the application. You got to do your fingerprints and all that, but because I had never been in
What
jail
up,
or any
State?
trouble or anything. It was a easy breezy, right?
Yeah.
So I go into jail. All right, go into the jail for the first meeting, and who's there but somebody I know from
Wow.
AA, gal who had got her butt in a sling, and but then she didn't think she caused a big accident, but she didn't think she was an alcoholic, so she went back out. And what happened with her was she got drunk one night, and her husband had a fight. She put the kids in the car and drove off. Her husband called the police. That put her in jail, and that's why. And then later on, listen to this story. Okay, now she told me months later. We were at an AA function, and she became like, she worked a lot for AA, did a lot of stuff for AA. She said, I never told you what happened, how you got to that jail. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I prayed I could contact you because I knew you were dependable. And she said, and then one day you come walking into the jail. I was like,
Wow.
whoa.
That's
crazy.
cool.
That was really,
That is crazy.
story. And she's doing really well too. Now that was she's been sober years now, and she got her children back, everything, you know, she's remarried.
Awesome.
You know, you get success story after success story. But anyway, so I go into jail, and there was this one gal. I got to tell you about this one gal. She was a hard young girl.
Okay.
I don't know, 25, 26, but she did not want to quit drinking. So one day I go in there for a meeting. I said, "Hey, where's so and so?" They said she's in isolation. I said, "What happened?" She was making booze.
Oh,
But you know, that's the thing. When you're an addict, you gotta have it. So she would take the apples or whatever it was and ferment them and do what she had to do to get her fix.
wow.
And that was really, really sad. You know, but that is what happens to us. We are so addicted, we think we can't live without it. I remember my brother telling me a story. His sponsor, my brother said, "You know, I'm so depressed," although when he was early on in sobriety, and his sponsor said, "Well, you just lost your best friend. You know, anytime you were sad, happy, whatever, there was your bottle.
Right.
It never said no to you. This is, of course, you're depressed. Of course, you know, you just got to stick it out
Yep.
and you know, help get other people. But you know, and the thing is about having children and being an addict too, that you're really walking a fine line because you're not giving your children all of yourself. And they know that at a certain point, they know that. And then again, you know, so many times as parents, you know, do as I say, not
Say
as
not
I
as
do.
I do. Yep.
Don't smoke, honey.
Yep.
Don't drink.
Yeah,
Don't,
that's
you know,
the
don't watch so much
that's
TV.
that's the household I grew up in. Do as they say, not as I do. Bullshit. So you know.
And I was fortunate to have grown up in the opposite, where you know
Right,
we were
right,
told
yeah,
why
we're-
you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not mine. Yeah. That's crazy.
You know, my mother was such she was just a wonderful human being, and a loving woman. And she always would say to me, you know, if it is to be, it's up to me. And they made my grandpa made her quit high school in 8th grade to go to work to make money so my uncles could go to college.
Wow.
I mean, it's really, when you hear this whole story, you would think
Well,
there's no
and
way it
that's, I
ever
mean,
happened.
and that's different sign of, that's a different era, right? That we lived in because my
Yeah,
grandmother,
totally
my,
different.
my
Yeah.
grandmother, God rest her soul. Her husband died when my mother was 11. So I don't know the year of that, but then she went on to work full time. She had to sell the farm because they had a dairy farm. Built a house, went to night school to get her master's degree, ended up being the first female teacher hired in Illinois. And then when they realized that she was had some weird dynamic of somehow she was, I don't remember the rules of stuff with like teachers, you could be married or couldn't be married, one of those weird things, but there was a stigma with that. Oh, when she was just a regular teacher, then that's right. When once Charles, her husband, died, that's when she went to college to get the master's degree. But when she got hired, you couldn't be married or something to that effect, and then they still went on and hired her because of who she was. But it's one of those things. It's the culture and the life was different, right? Because you
Oh, yeah.
like you said, it's like your grandmother quit school to go to work to help the uncles. You know, the dichotomy of the world and the nuclear family was legit back then. It was a true, like everybody has everybody's back type thing. Whereas now it's just kind of like everybody scatters and, you know, which I think is one
Yeah,
of the,
and Chris, that's such a good point because you know, 200 years ago we were all on farms pretty much, and so if Uncle Bob was an alcoholic
right.
and his job was to feed the chickens and the cows, where would he go? You know, Uncle Bob's hung over again.
Yep.
Everybody's just got to pick up his slack. But you know, the family wasn't destroyed and people
No.
didn't go hungry
No.
because everybody was together and they would pick
Right.
up the slack. But then
Right.
when we moved to the cities, then when Uncle Bob or Dad became an alcoholic, the family starved. And that's
Yep.
why those women were so big in the temperance movement. And they would go into the bars and go, you know, you're taking my husband's money, you're taking food out of our mouths.
Yep. Industrial Revolution destroyed America.
It definitely changed it.
All right, so get back to parenting and whatever.
Yes, let's go back to parenting.
I was kicked out of 2 colleges.
Okay.
And drinking was my problem. And
Wait,
so,
so you
one
got
day I was
kicked out of,
talking
wait,
to my
but
mom.
see that seems like an oxymoron. You're in college, you're getting kicked out of college for drinking? That's one
I
of the
know. Can you believe
prerequisites
it?
of
Can you
college.
believe it? Yeah. That's what a total idiot I was. And anyway, and plus, one of them was Western Michigan University, and oh my goodness, I worked so hard to get into that school. I was the assistant, or one of the research assistants to Richard Malott. He's big in behavior modification. Oh my God,
Okay.
when I got that job, I was like, oh my goodness, Martha, you've arrived. You're
Nice.
so lucky. You're so lucky. And I totally screwed that up. And anyway, so I'm at home and I'm crying to my mother. What am I going to do? I
Yeah.
don't have a degree. 1.0 GPA,
Oh,
1.0. And my mother was so disgusted with me. She said, "You know what you're going to do?" But I also went to St. Louis, no, University of Missouri. Okay, so my
okay.
mother goes, and I was kicked out of that one too. She goes, "You're going to march right back to that college, and you're going to ask them to let you back in."
Hmm.
Well, I did whatever my mother told me to do. So I did. I go, "Oh, can I come back in?" And the guy goes, "All right, we'll let you back in. You're on probation for 6 months, and you better straighten up."
Hmm.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I knew it was
Yeah.
my last chance. I made A's, and I went on, and what do you know? I became a college professor and
There
a
you
high
go.
school special ed teacher. So, I realized my goals and my dreams. So anything's possible. It does,
Hmm.
don't stay down. Don't stay down. Stop kicking your own butt and stop telling yourself you can't do it. If you want to do it, get out there and give it your best shot. What is it? What's that thing? It's the man who never throws the ball that misses 100% of the shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm a big believer. I have a phrase, and I've told my kids for years: "It's not how you fall; it's how you get back up." Everybody
Yeah.
falls. Everybody fails. Everybody. It's a
Everybody
constant.
that's
Yeah.
successful failed multiple times before they got to that point.
Gazillion times.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Even
Talk to
if
Jeff
you're not,
Bezos.
even if you,
Talk to
yeah,
Elon Musk.
yeah, right,
They've
right,
probably failed thousands of times in their life.
right, right. And
You
even
just
if you're
need
not
that
at that
one time
level
to
of
succeed.
success, right? But even if you don't hit that level of success, it still doesn't matter. Everybody falls down. Everybody. It's life. It's called building character. It's empowering
Success
yourself.
looks different for everybody. Success
Yeah.
is whatever you want it to be.
Correct. Correct.
You know what
You
Jack
know.
Canfield told us about Chicken Soup for the Soul? It was turned down by 144 publishers.
Yeah.
144 publishers said, "No, that's junk. We don't want this." The 145th guy said, "Well, if you can promise me you can sell 20,000 copies in advance, I'll publish this book."
Mm,
So that's what they did. They went out
nice.
and I remember going to workshops, Jack's self-esteem workshops, and there would be a form on the chair that said, "We wrote this book. How many copies do you want?"
Yeah.
And
Right
as
on.
soon as the book comes out, you'll get your copies. And that's what they did. They
Oh,
pre-sold
nice.
20,000 books. Boom. But they were turned down 144 times.
And think about how many people have read that book since.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
I just
if he
talked
would
to a
have
guy
gave
in
up
a
the
meeting.
first time,
Mm-hmm.
nobody would have ever heard it, and that
Yeah,
message would have never gotten out there.
this guy
Yep.
just got out of jail. He said he read Chicken Soup for the Prisoner's Soul. He said it kept him sane in jail, and it made him go after, like, he got to get some kind of a specialization in jail, so that when he came out, now he has his own business. I mean, he said those books really saved him. So yeah, imagine, look at how they've helped people through the years. Yeah. In fact, I have a book in the cookbook. I have a story in the Soup for the Soul cookbook.
Oh, right
1984,
on.
we're going
That's
back then.
awesome.
All right, so now I got to tell you,
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a story about rejection, because we're talking about you know what? If you don't get rejected, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to go
Right.
nowhere. The biggest mistake people make is by doing nothing. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so I go to this fancy mall here in Erin, Michigan, and it's got Nordstrom and all those stores.
Sure.
And this was a few years ago. My husband died in 2008, and I've been
Oh,
single
sorry.
pretty much since.
Sorry.
Anyway, so I noticed this handsome man sitting outside, and they had this area outside the store in the mall where you could sit at tables and read paper, do whatever you want. Well, I noticed this handsome man, looked to be my age, and he's reading the paper. I thought, oh, that's nice. So I go into Nordstrom. I come back about an hour there. So I thought, okay, Martha, strike while the iron's hot. So I
Mm-hmm.
go up to him. I go, well, hello. Are you waiting for your wife or girlfriend? Because I'm not.
Just rip it off like
So
a
he looks at me.
band-aid.
He looks at me funny. He goes, no. I said, oh, good. Are you married or have a girlfriend? He goes, no. I said, good. Uh, move your stuff off that chair. I'll sit down and we'll talk. I'm kind of bossy.
That's funny.
And he
I'm
goes, what? I said, "You're alone. I'm alone. Let's get to know each other." And he looks at me and he goes, and he yells it. Everybody heard him. He yells it. "I come to the mall to be alone." So I'm like, okay, now what, Martha? So I put a smile on my face because, I had encroached on I didn't belong there. And so I put a smile on my face and I said, "Oh, my bad. Have a nice day." And I walked off and I said, next to myself,
Yeah.
"There, Martha. Did things get any worse? No, you didn't have a date before. You don't have a date now. In fact, they got better because now I've learned that I can be put down in front of a gazillion people and I'm still living.
But let's go back to that. Who goes to the mall? Back then when
So
malls
that's my
actually
rejection
existed and
story.
there was, you could have 1,000 people at a mall at a time. Who goes to the mall for silence and quiet time? It's the polar opposite. I can
Perverts.
see, right? I can see going to the mall for people watching and things like that, right?
You,
And
you
just checking.
probably dodged a bullet, Martha. The guy was probably a pervert.
Now you can go to the
That's
mall
just what my
and there's
son said.
nothing.
That's just what my son said.
Your son's
Yeah.
a smart man.
Now how many kids do you have? How many kids do you have, Martha? How many kids do you have, Martha?
Just the one.
Okay.
He's grown now, Anthony.
Okay. Oh,
Just one.
my
He's grown
grandson's
now.
name.
He's 42, but when
My
he was 4,
yeah.
yeah.
My my
Well, now
grand
he's Tony. You grow up and
yeah.
he's Tony.
Yeah,
And
my grandson's name is Anthony. My first grandson, anyway, his name is Anthony. My second one's his Trip. But yeah, we call Anthony Little Man. But yeah, good name. My wife's brother was named
oh,
Anthony as
well,
well
he's
though.
named after his dad. When he was born, my husband said, "Well, if it's a boy, you name him. If it's a girl, I'll name him." And that was back in
Oh,
the time when I told the doctor I didn't want to know what it was.
right.
Boy or
Oh,
girl.
okay.
So we didn't know until he was born. And so because it was a boy, I got the name. I thought, well, let's name
Cool.
him after his father. His
Yeah.
father's a wonderful man, good man. So
Nice.
let's make him. He's not a junior, but he's got the same name.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out really well. He's a good kid. He's got his own business. He's the film card star. He sells and trades collectibles on
Oh,
eBay.
Wow.
So he makes a bunch of posts about old actors and stuff
cool.
like that.
I bet he has some stories.
So yeah, he grew up to be pretty good. Oh my goodness, does he have some stories? And about a lot of things, oh, one day we're at he played football, so he
Okay.
got recruited to be the quarterback at I think Benedictine University in Chicago.
Okay.
Wow.
So his dad and I go, I'm just sports just don't okay. So we're sitting in the stands and I'm recording. And I said, "Tony, which one's Anthony?" And my husband says, "He's the quarterback. He's the quarterback." I said, "Which one's the quarterback?" Anthony, he gets the biggest kick out of that. At least I was there, kid. Okay, at least
Yeah.
I showed up.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's 90% of the job right there, showing up, being present. And it's easy if you're showing up, being present. Of course, nowadays, parents are doing this. What's that, Johnny? Oh
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire's good. Fire's good. It's okay. What'd you say?
True
Kids are
story.
desperate for attention now.
Distracted
And I
parenting.
have kids have goals of behavior. I made this workbook.
Okay.
It tells you what your child's goal is. But nowadays, almost all of them, their goal is attention. Please, mom, give me some attention. Please, dad, give me some attention. But when kids misbehave, it's basically for 4 reasons. One
Right.
is attention.
Mm-hmm.
The other is for power, because they feel so powerless. The other is for revenge. A lot of kids want revenge because they feel slighted and not treated right. And then there's the display of inadequacy, and that's for the child who goes, "Oh, I can't do it. You do it for me." Yeah, we've all come across kids like that, and you feel so discouraged. So this workbook, it tells you how to figure out what the child's goal is and what to do about it.
Where do you fall as far as like at what age is social media acceptable for children?
Yeah. Oh, good question, Mike.
You know what? I would. Everything needs to be. No child should ever, and I think until at least 16, they should not be able to be alone with their social media.
I like that answer.
And the parents should be able to get on the phone and see anything that they're doing until 16, because
But at what age would
they
you let them
15,
get on there
16,
supervised?
because
Sorry to interrupt you,
they,
but what age would you let them get on
yeah,
there, like
I
while
don't
you're
know.
supervising
I
them?
don't, you know what? I don't know, because you have to watch all of it. You have to watch these children's cartoons and things these days are bizarre and
Well, they were
weird
bizarre.
and
They
hateful.
were, but
And
they
you
were
know how
bizarre.
many,
They were bizarre when we were growing up. I mean, look at the cartoons we grew up on. There was violence. There was, Elmer
yeah, I
Fudd was
know,
killing people. You know what I mean?
Roadrunner.
Right. So
Yeah,
I mean, they were
yeah,
their
Popeye
cartoons
basically
are
was
always
that's funny.
or Bluto was basically domestically abusing olive oil all the time.
right. Exactly. So I mean, it's. I mean, you have to look perspective because when we were raising our kids, like in the mornings, we would hang out and that type of thing, and then we'd watch the cartoons, the Ed, Eddie, and that was the first one that comes to mind. But Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo. I mean, so it's all the cartoons evolved because the kids that grew up watching cartoons, some of those went on to make cartoons, right? So you still have the same dynamic of them, and they're all still weird. But that's the beautiful thing about cartoons; they expand the imagination. Yeah, I mean, sponges don't talk, right? But SpongeBob was huge because it's this little yellow sponge and this star that have adventures under the sea. So that's no different than what we grew up on, the Flintstones or the Jetsons and things like that, just because they're cartoons. I get that
Yeah.
they're weird. I get they're weird now because they
Well,
are. We were big with our kids. Like you weren't gonna get a cell phone at all until you hit 13, and that was before the smartphone and stuff. And so there was years where they weren't
so
cool
is
at
that what you did
school. Yeah, but they
till
weren't
they're
cool at
13?
right. But they weren't cool at school
Okay.
because all their friends had it. But it's kind of like
When did their friends get it?
dude, Nikki's got kids now that in you walk around I mean, everybody has phones, everybody, and that's school's policies are you don't have your phones out during the day. But there was kids, I'm sure, that were 10 years old and third grade, fourth grade, whatever, that had phones and
Well,
they
do
shouldn't have.
you know all your kids' friends? Do
Um,
you know all your kids' friends?
we
And their parents?
knew we had the unique thing that my wife was a school teacher, so the first 6 years of their lives, once they got into kindergarten, they went to school with her. Um, Before that, they were in schools that were kind of smaller. We weren't big on daycare and things like that. So when it became evident that they needed that kind of socialization, then they would go. Nikki got a job actually at I think the preschool Skylar was going to for a while, and then realized, oh, preschools are nightmares, so pulled her out of that. They both ended up going to Queen of Peace Catholic school for a while when Nikki got her teaching certificate. I mean, she already had that, but just kind of just to get them to where she could be there. So, yes and no. We knew who they were associated with at school because my wife took them to school. Once they got to the junior highs, because then we moved them to junior high in our neighborhood so they could have friends going into high school. We knew some, but not a lot. But we were also those parents that would grab the phone. Hey, give me your phone. I want to scroll through it, and so
Great,
once your
great.
teenager starts fighting that, then there's an issue, which we didn't really think there was an issue, like it was. But so we knew, but we didn't know everybody because it's impossible to know everybody that your children associate with because it's just impossible.
Oh
Back
yeah,
then it wasn't.
online, please.
Yeah, back then it wasn't as bad as it is now because of the online and the Google machine and
Yeah,
access to everything. And just so you know, Martha, I
right.
have I have your books up on the screen here while you're chatting. Um,
Thanks.
so just
I
so
see.
people can,
Thank you.
yeah, just so people can check. Is it just the one? Yes, that you wrote. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. Or did you
Just
write another
that's the
one?
one I wrote. Yes, yes,
Okay.
you can raise happy, responsible children. The
Right.
purple. That's the one I wrote.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I just have a story in the cookbook.
Right.
And
Right. Remember?
Practical
Yeah.
Happiness. She interviewed me.
Yeah. I remember that. That's pretty cool. That's why that pops up, which is cool. And so they interview, and then this is your actual book that you wrote. Okay. Because again, we're all about promoting you and getting you. 72 pages. Wow, that'll be a quick read. That's
And
good. That's
some
good.
people buy my book and give it to other people,
Oh
give
yeah,
it to their therapists.
I can see
So
that.
some people buy the book, they give it to their therapists,
Hmm.
to their pastor, to their teachers, because it's so useful. And we're talking about social media and your kids. One man, what he does is to know who his children's friends are, Every month
Right.
they have a Friday night where they invite all their friends over for dinner. So that way the parents get to meet the children because you need to know who your kids are hanging with. Some of these
Agreed.
kids, these days especially, they're exposed to a lot of stuff they shouldn't be.
That was a
And they're
necessity
hanging
when
around
we
with
were
kids who
growing
don't
up.
have good morals and ethics.
That was absolutely a necessity when we were growing up. And I think my mom would tell you, she would laugh because she would never change the way she raised us, but she would say, careful what you wish for because she has about 47 extra kids. As soon as you meet my mother, she becomes
Yeah.
your mother too. That's the way she operates. So I have friends that call my mother unbeknownst to me, right? Well, I talked to your mom a couple weeks ago and she really helped me out. Which is
That's a
it's
that's
awesome.
small. That's a small town thing too. When you're growing up, it's like everybody knew everything about you because you were a small town, right?
For sure.
So the boys and girls that are paying attention right now, I'm on the Amazon page, and here's Martha's book. It's real simple. You can get it if you order
What a lot of
today.
people don't realize, ah, thanks.
Yeah, if you order today, you
What a
get
lot of
it
people
within
don't
1 or 2
realize
days.
is the effect other children
Is the what?
have on your kids. Oh,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, I might be dropping out. So a lot of people don't realize the effect other children.
True.
We lost
Absolutely.
Martha.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah. So, but while we're waiting for Martha to come back on, here we still have their screen up. It's Amazon. It's $15. You can get it in a couple days. It's very interesting. It'd be an interesting read, and it's only 72 pages, which means it's probably a really good, easy read, which is nice because audiobook wise, you'd probably be done with this thing in about a half an hour if it's which is good. I mean, you want something quick hitting to give you all the information, which is cool. 70 pages is nice. It's written in English. That's good. It's been out for over a year. It's a small book, but that's cool. So if you're looking for something to help your children or help you raise your children to be happy and responsible,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go. That's good. I'll stop sharing that, but it's there. Which is kind of funny, Mike, because a friend of ours that we used to live next to, the wife had posted something, like all these doctored up pictures, right? So she looks all prim and proper, right? Like modelish and like, ooh. She's been married probably for 25
Filters.
years. Right. She's been married for like 25 years or so. And then all of a sudden she starts popping up on Nikki's feed as a dating and relationship coach. Excuse me. I haven't been in the dating realm for 32 years.
Somebody behind you.
I know, Amazon. So how the hell, actually UPS. So how the hell am I going to go become a relationship and dating expert when I haven't been in the dating pool? Relationship expert, well, I could be a relationship expert on my relationship with one person. But it just, when she started telling me that, I was like, that's
That's
kind of bullshit.
Yeah, you could be a relationship expert for sure because you've been married for how many years?
We've been together 30, I forget if it's
So you've been
31.
with the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
person for over
Right.
30 years.
Right. And
That
I'm 54.
qualifies you
Right,
as a
right.
relationship expert if your goal is to stay with the same person, right?
Correct.
But you are not a dating expert
No.
because you have not dated someone since what, the 80s, 90s?
90s. And that's
Early
and that 90s, yeah. And that's the thing with this person. It's like the dating part, no. Like you have no you have no
For sure.
one-on-one
I
experience anymore.
Agree with you 100% there.
So, it's nice that Martha, it would have been nice if Martha had 2 kids because then you would have seen the dichotomy between the two. And
Yeah, I always like how you answered that question for Skylar and Jake. You're my favorite daughter. You're my favorite son. That solved that problem very quickly.
right, even though they still come at you, hey, I still know
of
I'm your
course.
favorite.
Of course. Yeah.
Which is always fun. But
Yeah.
so that's interesting. That's an interesting approach to it. But she's, she lived and breathed it, and that's cool. That's really cool. So again, because we're waiting for her, I don't know if she'll come back on or not, but I got to start getting people's phone numbers, man. But I'll share the screen again so you guys can see how to find Martha's book. It's on Amazon. It's real simple. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. So
Well,
there it is.
I'll tell you what sells it for me. If if I wanted somebody that I thought could teach me something,
Right.
just the fact that she was a professor, she spent
Yeah.
her whole life around children.
Right.
She spent a lot of time with troubled children in the
Yep.
jails with the
Yep.
AA. Those are the kind of people that you want to read
Yeah.
their expertise because they've seen people at their worst,
Yes.
as you and I were, and come out the other side to be healthy, productive members of society.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you and I are living our life the way that everybody else would. There's plenty of people that would look at us and say, I would never live my life that way, right?
Right. Right.
But
yep.
this works for us.
Yeah.
And we're not hurting anybody, and we're paying our taxes and doing all the stupid bullshit that society says we're supposed to, right?
Right.
I think that woman could give you the tools, and I guess tools is the right word,
Yeah.
to speak to your children to get them to the other side to where they're not going to end up dying an addict.
Yeah. So, and in the back of her book, it says, it's up on the screen, the pages of this book are full of practical wisdom and compassionate insight.
And that's what you need, practical. That's a good word.
Exactly. It's a valuable guide that addresses everyday challenges that every parent faces, providing what you just said, invaluable tools to help parents achieve the outcomes they want while helping their children flourish emotionally and intellectually. Right? That's a good
Yeah.
that's a good summary. What sets this book apart is its thorough approach to addressing the multifaceted aspects of parenting, which they're everywhere nowadays, especially with social media and the access to everything at your fingertips. From positive approaches to dealing with discipline and corrective behavior. Is there really discipline anymore? Now, here's a funny story about discipline, right? So Tripp and Anthony were over at the house after it rained last week, and Tripp's a stubborn little man, and he keeps trying to pull out Anthony's sand reel. He wants to ride it, We're like, no, because it had just rained, so everything was super wet. So Skylar went over and then just tapped him in the butt. Like, okay, he's wearing a diaper, tapped him in the butt. He turned around like, what? And then he was doing it again. She's like, do you want Dad to spank you in the butt? And he starts walking away and puts his hand behind his butt to cover his butt.
Did he have that how dare you look on his face?
Right, exactly. But then when she said Dad, he legit took his hand and covered his butt. So if his dad was there, he was like, you can't hit my butt because I got my hand in front of it. Total 2-year-old mindset, right? But
Sure.
it wasn't a dramatic, oh my God, I just spanked Tripp so hard, blah, blah. It was a tap on the butt, which is padded by a diaper. For those who don't believe in spanking your kids, get over it. Every kid needs to be spanked at some point in time. My child right there is leaving the room. The Marine, he's been spanked.
He turned into a Marine.
Right, he turned into a Marine. And he's going to pop on the screen. Hold on. There you go, Jake. There's the Marine.
It's
right?
abuse.
It's not abuse.
Tell Jake I said, what up?
Mike says, what up? As balloons start flying on the screen there, Mike.
That must happen when I give the peace sign.
It must.
That's hilarious.
So if you want to learn, you want to add some tools, as Mike said, to your arsenal when raising children, go buy Martha's book. Why not? It's 72 pages. It's $15. It could give you some insight on things that you may struggle with. Like you've heard me say on the show, I was a first-time father to my daughter. I was a first-time father to my son, and they were different parenting approaches because they were different kids. They were different.
Well, it's
you know.
kind of like my mom said a million times. When you go to apply for a job, you know what you're getting into, right?
Yes,
You fill out
yeah.
an application. They explain, this is what's expected of you.
Right.
And you know going into it, this is what I'm going to be doing every day.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
one hands you a book at the hospital when your child's born and says,
No.
this is how you're going to raise Jake. This
Yeah.
is how you're going to raise Skylar, right? Here's an instruction manual. This will get you from age 0 to 18, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
There's nothing.
And she went through, I'm not going to, if she ever wants to come tell her parenting story, she's more than welcome. She knows that.
Yeah.
So I'll let her talk for herself. But I will say that she actively sought out many different avenues of help to make sure that what she was thinking was the, you know, because sometimes you're doing something that you think is the right thing. And,
Right.
you know, halfway through it, I'm sure you went through it. I'm sure Nikki went through it. Am I damaging my child by doing this?
Right.
You know, am I doing the right thing? Am I, because you always want, and we've said this a million times, we want their lives to turn out better than ours, right? That's your goal as a parent.
Right. A prime example too is Frank Gallagher, right? He didn't do shit to raise his kids, but they all came out productive persons of society.
You know what? In his odd little way, he loved them.
Oh, he did. We just finished the season the series last night for the second time, and it's a trip what you pick up the second time around when you watch something. The letter that he writes to his family, and if I'm not gonna, I mean, everybody's probably seen Shameless, but you haven't. I'm not gonna ruin it for you. If you haven't seen the series Shameless, the
Go
U.S.
watch
version,
it.
go watch it, because it truly epitomizes growing up. Not necessarily poor, but kind of hand to mouth. You know what I mean? Like
Getting by day to day
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and the struggles that you have with that, and there's addiction rolled into that, and there's abuse rolled into that, and there's violence rolled into it. It's just I reference it every now and then, which I don't think Martha caught what I was saying when I referenced
She
the Gallagher
definitely had not watched.
No,
She thought this was a real family,
right,
which is
So,
what makes it funny.
yeah. So we weren't poking fun at you, Martha, at all. So it sucks that we lost her, but yeah. So if you want to find out about Martha, just Martha Burich, Burich, go to Amazon. She's got that book. If I, like Mike said, I had no example. Like Mike had great examples as a parent. So
Yeah, if I
Mike-
ever wanted to have kids,
Right.
I would have had a lot of tools to draw from
Right.
to raise my own children to get
Absolutely.
myself started. Yeah.
And
My
I
parents
had-
were
yeah,
amazing.
And then
My parents are amazing. They're both still
right,
alive. Sorry.
yeah, you are, man. And then
They
see, Nikki
were
and I-
amazing as parents.
yes,
Let me save myself.
yes. And I had an amazing grandmother. I had an amazing aunt. Unfortunately, that's where it ends for my amazing part of my family. So
But would you say that with, let me ask you it this way. If you
Okay.
had not had those two women in your life that you cite as examples of responsible adults, do you think you would have still turned out to be who you are today?
my aunt and I's relationship it developed over time because they were always in Illinois. I would say the last 5 years of my aunt's life, we connected a little bit more just because of the kids.
How old were you at that point?
She died 2 years ago, so
Okay.
late 40s. Because we began it. It's one of those things where you were
Well, that
They
answers
weren't
my
her-
question because you were already established
Yeah.
as an adult.
right. But her and my uncle, they weren't into texting. So once they kind of like okay, fine, we have to text. Then that's kind of what opened up my aunt and I's relationship. My grandmother's relationship and I, and it's the same with my brother with my grandmother. She was very involved in our lives. It was every weekend there was a phone call set. I forget, Sunday morning. I want to say 8 a.m. or something. Emily religiously every single week. She would write us letters, which then we would turn around and respond to those letters, which is how I think began my love for writing, because it's every week I got a letter from my grandmother, and I wish I would have saved them, because that would have been cool to look back on and I'm talking an entire lifetime from the time I could read, which was probably about 7. Fuck, man, until I don't know when she died. I mean, I got letters. It wasn't.
She was in Illinois.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Pleasant
she
Plains.
wrote you from Illinois to Arizona every week. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah, and there's the phone calls, and then when I would struggle.
I talk to my Grammy all the time, man. That
Yeah.
would be my great grandma. I was super young when she died. I was probably
Yeah.
9. But my mom's mom, I spent a lot of time with her talking about things that I couldn't talk about my mom with at the time because it would have freaked her out,
Right.
And I respected my mom enough to know what would make her stay up at night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Even as a young man, or even as a young boy, like 15, 16, when you're starting to do shit that you probably shouldn't, that you don't want your mother to know about,
Right.
I would go talk to my Grammy about that.
And just so you know, your mother still knew about it because your Grammy told her.
She did not.
Really?
She did not. And my
Wow.
mom would come on here and testify because I've asked her as an adult. Did
That's
Grammy ever tell you
amazing.
this?
That's cool.
Unless my life was in danger.
Oh, okay.
She never, betrayed my confidence, and I don't think
That's
there was ever a
fantastic.
situation where my Grammy knew my life was in danger. No,
That's-
she never.
That's awesome, man.
I'd be like, "Don't tell my mom this," and she knew I needed somebody to talk to other than
Yeah.
My Grammy was wise beyond her years. So
Well, and I think every grandparent is, because being now that I'm a pop,
sure,
you take
my mom's in the same boat now. She's not, right?
you take everything that you knew you did when you raised your own kids, the successes and the failures, right? And then you're more patient when the grandkids come along, because you kind of been there and done that. We all agree in my little unit of life that that I'm the one that Anthony respects the most, but I'm the one that initially disciplined him when he was younger and needed to have his little butt smacked.
My dad has that role in as the patriarch, right?
Right.
A lot of people look
Yeah.
at him as the disciplinarian, but they also he's also the first person that a lot of us respect, right?
Yeah.
There's a
And
reason
that's,
for
yeah.
that. He walked
yeah.
the walk just like you walked the walk. He went to work every day for 32 years, 6 days
Yeah.
a week, 12 hours a day when needed.
Yeah.
So when he talks, you have to listen,
Yeah.
even when you don't want to. Just like you've provided for your family, provided them a stable, healthy environment to
Yeah.
mature in, right? My dad
Yeah.
did the same thing. So
Yeah.
when Steele talks, people have to listen.
Right. It's like that E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Yeah, but I'm sure you demand the same thing. His whole thing was to get you to understand that if you want to have your own opinion and
Right.
you want to live your life your own way, you're going to do it in your own house, right? So
Yeah.
you have to pick yourself up enough and become independent enough to have your own opinion.
Right.
That's what I got out of what he asked of me. And I don't think that's too much to ask of anybody.
No.
He's fine with you having your own opinion, but
Right.
not in his house, right?
Yeah.
It's like in my house, we're going to do things my way because this is what's worked for me.
That makes sense.
And it
that's the-
sounds
yeah.
brutally harsh, but,
But- but
he
it's-
does it in the nicest way possible. He really
Yeah, but
does.
it's not brutally harsh because that's the what is it, the tested over time.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And in his
just-
joking manner, he'll say, if I didn't do that, I'd have 70 people living in here. And, we just can't have that. The house isn't that big, right?
Right. It's not the Gallagher's household, right? Where Carl brings over this entire tamale rolling Mexican family because he has a crush on the daughter, So yeah, it's yeah.
And I don't know how your dichotomy works in your house, and I'm sure it's probably fairly similar to what I grew up in. But my mother was the person that would take anybody in and feed them and do, that's the way it's supposed to be. And then my
Yeah.
dad would be like, okay, you've been here long enough. Now here's what's going to happen next.
Yeah. We kind of we have. Nikki
It's
and
not
I
really
were-
good cop,
were
bad
like-
cop. I don't want to say that.
No, but we were empty nesters, and then Skylar dropped the bomb, and that completely changed our life. So it's good and bad, right? Because we were at that point in our lives where it's like Nikki and I can now focus on us, and we got married young enough that, I had somebody the other day was blown away when I told her one of my listing appointments, but blown away when I told her I had 2 grandkids. She's like, "You don't look old enough to have grandchildren." I'm like, "Thank you, I know," but that's the thing. we literally, we were done. We literally. That's like, yay, we're free now. We can start doing our own things, and that changed. So we're not that family that's like, oh, anybody can come in and we're gonna feed you, that kind of stuff. We're not that thing, but it's because it's just Nikki, I, Skylar, and Jake, and now we have June and Trip and Anthony, and then June's family. That's kind of it. Now, since my aunt passed away, my grandmother passed away, that's kind of it. There's no. My brother and I have 2-3 conversations a year, 2 of which are on birthdays, and that's fine because that's our relationship. There's nothing good or bad about that. It is what it is.
Right.
So that's kind of it. I don't have the luxury of the big family, which isn't a bad thing because they don't have to deal with the neither one of us have to deal with the evil in-laws, right? Because the in-laws are always evil. Neither one of us have to deal with chaos at Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that stuff. Which
But
sometimes, yeah. Go
Here's
ahead.
we're looking at it from the outside in for me because I never
Okay.
had a family other than my own, right? The one I grew up
Right,
in.
right,
And even there, everybody's an individual. So
Mm.
the way that I look at life is so many people, they think that they have to hang on to this original family, right?
yep,
That's only true if that original family is deserving. Like
Oh,
in your
nice.
case,
Yeah.
why would you go to your mother's house for dinner on Sunday to
right.
have her tell you what a horrible piece of shit you were growing up every day, or whatever kind of negativity in
Right.
your life would succumb to doing that every Sunday? Why would you do
Right.
that?
Yeah,
Just because
exactly.
she's your mother, right?
No. Well, that's kind of why I referenced the Mickey Milkovich and Terry Milkovich situation, because the way they wrote that, you've seen Shameless, right? Terry was an
Absolutely.
asshole.
Yeah.
He was an asshole.
Yeah.
There's no other way to phrase that. The character's just a straight up asshole.
I still can't think of that fucking term that you're trying to say. It's bothered me the whole podcast, by the way. Yeah, I want to say it's the Florence Nightingale syndrome.
There it is. There it is. Florence Nightingale syndrome. Yes. Yes.
I think
And-
it's
and-
just the
and-
Nightingale syndrome.
Right.
I
Okay, but that's what I was getting at. And the validation, like Mickey's character was seeking validation, and he was emotional and distraught when after Terry was after the nun killed Terry, and Ian's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man?" And Mickey doesn't know, but I don't know how I'm going to honestly react when both my parents leave this earth. I don't think I'm going to have an emotional reaction to it because number
I don't
one,
think
my
you are
father's-
either.
My father's so removed from me. He was there to donate his sperm, and that was it. And the fact that, if you're watching this, you prick, the fact that he disowned me because I didn't respond to a random anonymous gift that he sent to Anthony 5 years ago, it just shows you how petty and what just an insecure, inadequate human he is, because he willingly let us leave the state and had absolutely no desire and never tried to actually be involved in our life. He was a threat growing up. Do you want to go live with your father? No, I don't want to go live with my father, because she painted a picture of him being such a monumental asshole. Which, obviously his side of the story is completely different, which is why they were Frank and Monica, just in a different
Well, that's
way.
why that's why this conversation is important, because you're
Yeah.
proving my point, right?
Okay, yeah.
So to everybody out there that's listening to this that feels guilty that they're not talking to people that were abusive to them just because
Yeah.
they're their family,
Right.
give that shit up.
Yes.
Right? That guilt is not guilt that you need to bear.
No,
The
absolutely
person
not.
that did that to you should feel guilty as shit. And
Yeah.
to Chris's point, normally they don't, because they're such
Narcissists.
what's the word? That's thank you, man. That was going to elude me. They're such narcissists that the reason you feel guilty is because they keep throwing it back into your court.
Right. Yep.
Why don't you ever call me?
Yep.
You know,
I
the
don't
fact,
get- yeah.
the fact that we don't talk that's your fault, right? The phone works both ways, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it does.
And I just tested this theory on someone that meant a lot to me, and I was taught that I didn't mean as much to that person as I thought I did, right? Because I was
Well, and the weird thing too, like
initiating
with my
all the
yeah,
conversations.
been there. Yeah, no, I've been there, done that with my brother, and not anything ill will for my brother at all, because he's never done anything to harm me in any way, shape, or form. But I tried for years to be involved in his life. And it was always me reaching out. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And finally, you just get to the point where I'm tired of that. I'm tired of being the one to reach out. So I just stopped. And that's evolved to really 3-4 conversations a year, and that's it.
And like you said earlier, that's our relationship, and
right.
that's fine.
And it's fine, because that's what we've gravitated towards. Now, you would think, because we went through the trauma we went through as siblings, it would be different. But we learned when we went back to my grandmother's funeral, because he was 2 years older than me, and when our father left us, the story my grandmother told and my aunt told was he was so taken back by that they would see him sitting in the picture window for hours, staring outside for hours, waiting for him to come home, and he never came home. And then we had to uproot and leave Arizona, or leave Illinois to come to Arizona because of my asthma being so bad. So when he and I basically went to the funeral and rented a car and drove all the back roads, from where I think we went to St. Louis and then drove all the back roads to Abingdon, Illinois, where everything was happening. But in that time, we had conversations that we never really had growing up, because we weren't mature enough to have those conversations. And it kind of came out in a conversation he always harbored a grudge against me because I'm the reason we left Illinois. Because he knew it. He knew enough of Illinois then, because he was 5. So we had enough memories and the family and stuff that was around there. On my mother's side, the family dynamic was fantastic, which is mind-boggling, because she's such a fuck. And my father's dynamic family, they were fucking assholes. That's where I get the lack of empathy. I think that comes from the Dunham side. Because really, David Dunham could give a fuck about me or my brother. His parents could give a fuck about me or my brother. There was no grandparent type connection at all with them. They didn't write letters. They didn't call us. We were just kind of a byproduct. They loved David's older brother, John, more than they loved David, kind of like what Martha was alluding to. So David was kind of pushed to the side. So I think in turn, that's where he learned to push everybody to the side, which is why he has no empathy. And, he had one of those jobs where he put on his headphones. This is one of the 12 conversations I've had with him in my lifetime, where he loved Pink Floyd. So he put on his headphones at work and just ignore everybody and just do his work. He was some kind of auditor for the state revenue in Illinois. So he was, living in a cubicle, listening to music all day, interacting with no one, and just decided he didn't want anything to do with us, which, so be it. But I don't.
Well, that
don't
was
dwell on
common
that.
back then too, man. And
Sure.
even like you were saying when Martha was on, it was even more common the generation before that, where a woman would get pregnant and they would get married just because the woman was pregnant, right? That was
Right.
the sole reason that these two people got together, because in the everybody was pretty much still adhering to the laws of the church,
Yeah.
So if you were married, or if you had a child out of wedlock, that was, you were
How
ostracized.
dare you? Right. You were
And
sent away.
especially in a town this size, right?
Right.
In
You
the
were
city,
sent
you
a-
could
yeah.
hide, but
You were sent away to the home for wayward boys and girls.
exactly.
Whoa, what the fuck, man?
So the result
Yeah.
is what you just described. You have a person who never really wanted children,
Yep.
working a job they never really wanted to go to. So it goes back to, I think it was Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
One of those guys said, most men live lives of quiet desperation. I love that quote.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, yeah.
Most men live lives of quiet desperation,
That's
meaning
just- I-
that they are doing something they don't want to do every day
Right.
and longing for what they really wanted to do as a boy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Martha messaged us. I had my phone upside down when we do the show. So, she's lost a connection. It won't reconnect.
Oh.
Just,
We'll have
that's
her back.
okay. That's okay. We've spoke very highly of you and plugged your book and stuff. So,
Yes. Tell her
it
we'll
happens.
have her back. That was fun.
we'll have you back on. No big deal. We'll continue the conversation at some point in 2026.
Martha was cool.
She was cool. And it's automatically, I think, of John Mellencamp.
And I just heard that like 3 days ago. How crazy is that? That song's
Right.
awesome.
It is awesome. The Big Daddy is a good album, man.
Martha says she don't need no stinking man making no decisions for her.
Yep. Yep. I would pull it up, but I'm afraid.
Oh, we'll get booted for sure.
We'll get booted, but yeah. So
Now that's going to be our new thing. We'll get booted off the YouTube.
yeah.
You guys can
but,
turn it into a drinking game. Water, of course. Drinking water.
Yeah, drinking water. Kool-Aid shots. Have some Kool-Aid shots.
Yes,
You know.
without strychnine, of course.
Yes, without the alcohol. Just regular Kool-Aid, man. No Kool-Aid shots.
Hey, do you have access to Disney Plus, having all those
I do.
grandkids around?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you watched the new series called The Ocean, narrated by David Attenborough, who is one
No.
of the greatest narrators on the history of the earth and one of the greatest explorers? Do
Okay.
yourself a favor. It's an hour and 28 minutes.
Okay.
I learned more about the ocean and how it relates to the earth in that hour and
Really?
28 minutes last night than I have known my whole life.
Okay.
Did you know that the majority, over half of our oxygen comes from the ocean? We were taught that
Wow.
the rainforests,
And the trees, yeah.
yes, they don't even pale in comparison to the amount of oxygen that we get from the kelp and the algae that grows in the ocean. And if that ever dies, we are FUCKED. Yes.
Wow.
Oh yeah, dude. Everybody that's out there, most people have access to Disney Plus if you have children.
Yeah.
Watch this series called The Ocean. Especially your kids will love it too, because it has a lot of great, obviously cinematography, and because National Geographic did it. So
Yeah. National Geographic's the ball, man. That's one thing my grandmother did. She sent us National Geographic's subscription until I was 18 years old.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
My-
and back
My
then, that
grandma
was-
and grandpa, or my dad's dad, my grandpa,
Yeah, yeah.
he subscribed to National Geographic. He always had them stacked up out on his
Yeah.
porch.
Yep. We got she randomly one day showed up encyclopedias. Which, and for those who don't understand what an encyclopedia is, it was Google in hard print.
It was Wikipedia before Wikipedia.
Right. It was where you had it was like a book that was Google, and you
I
had,
like that. Google in hard print.
right. You had to look shit up. But it was, that was the thing. Like, she cared enough about us for those little things that, and National Geographic when you're a kid, man. aside from the
Fascinating to see
aside
the
from-
rest of the world.
Right. Aside from
And
the
you got to
topless-
see African women's
I was going to
boobs.
say that aside from the topless black women, It did. It opened up the world to you. Like, I
Remember
mean,
seeing them women with the plates in their lips?
Oh yeah, weird, man. Weird. It's just, but it was fascinating. That was cool to grow up and getting those. And I don't know how much I read through them, but I definitely would look through every
Oh
single
yeah, it was
one that
pictures
came up.
back
And
then for us, for
you know,
sure.
but it was legit to have she had the insight to give us the tool to see the world without actually leaving our house,
Right.
which
Yeah,
Google does now. But you know, so there you go. That's what I got. How'd you do this past weekend in sports? Because fucking I started Jackson Dart, but Jamar Chase had such a shitty day. I lost.
Jackson Dart screwed me because I never would have dreamed he would have went out there and actually won that game. So I bet on the other team.
Dude, I started Jackson Dart because I figured one or two things are going to happen. He's going to succeed and keep Dable's job for another week, or he's going to fall flat on the face and Dable's going to get fired. And he succeeded.
Yeah, kudos to him, man. He
The
went out there
defense
and looked like a stud.
yeah, the defensive line the Giants has is pretty fucking fantastic. It's just they got to do a little better job at the defensive back part of it. But you know, Cam Scatterbo, look out, world, because that dude is just a beast. And that's the cool thing. I wish they would do this. I wish they would put Scatterbo and Singletary in the backfield with Jackson Dart, have a tight end and a couple wide receivers over here, and say, okay, defense, who are you going to cover?
That would be awesome.
Right? And they've never done it, man. They didn't do it when they had Tiki and Brandon, or when they had Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. They never did two runners in the backfield with Tiki and Ron Dane. Never. It's like you're missing an opportunity to make the defense go, what? Because you have Jackson Dart is as mobile as the running backs are. It's like, dude, just open it up. And then slants, dink and dunk. Why don't more teams with rookie quarterbacks do quick slants? Get them in a rhythm, right? The quick short routes. Get them in a rhythm and then start building from there. I don't understand why they don't do that more with quarterbacks. Like Tom Brady beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl by doing what in the second half?
Just picking them apart.
3 yards, 4 yards,
Yeah.
5 yards, 10 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 6 yards, 1 yard.
I've heard Tom Brady
Negative
talk
3
about
yards,
that.
and then 7 yards.
And that was obviously a very conscious decision. And like he said, if you throw the ball 4 yards and the next time you throw it 6 yards, you got a first down. If you throw the ball 6 yards and the next time you throw it 5 yards, you got another first down. If you throw the ball 3 yards and the next time you throw it 8 yards, you got another first down. Right?
Yeah,
It's simple math.
It is simple.
It always
And
fascinates me when it's 3rd and 8 and they throw the ball 3 yards. I
Right.
know they're looking, okay, if it's a screen pass, I'll forgive them, right? That's a design
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
But when they run a slant route 4 yards or 5 yards out and it's 3rd and 8, I'm like, the fuck are you doing, right? You can't always count on that guy to run 4 more yards.
No. Like Cam Scatterbo's average yard per carry is 4.4 yards, which is great. But does that mean every time he touches the ball?
No, that's the average.
Right.
Sometimes
So
he's
you
going to get
can't-
2.
Right. Or 1 or -3. You don't
Yes.
know. But the people he hits feel it the next day. So as the season goes on, if he can maintain this level of intensity, it's going to work well to his advantage, because then people are going to start not wanting to tackle him because they're going to remember,
That
oh
kid's a
shit,
stud,
that guy,
man.
right?
Just a stud.
Yeah, he is. He's a beast. I have him too. He's a good. He's old school runner. He's
Yes.
going back to Walter Payton era where you wound and
exactly.
Earl
That's
Campbell,
why I
right?
like to watch him play, for sure. Yeah.
Remember those? I don't remember if it was Earl Campbell. It's probably both Earl Campbell and Walter Payton, where they would wind their arm up to boom
Campbell did that too, absolutely.
into the defender. It was fantastic. I bet we could do that without
Peyton gave
sound.
me that stiff arm that was like there's no tomorrow.
Yep.
Guy'd come at him and he'd just push him away.
What am I thinking? What's it called? Straight arm.
Yeah. Stiff
let's
arm,
see.
straight arm.
Yeah. Okay. So,
While you're looking that up, congratulations to my Chicago Cubs on making the National League Division Championship.
oh, right on. Way
Yeah.
to go, Cubs. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, we
I
took
don't
care
watch.
of the-
I haven't watched. I used to, but I just haven't really. So, let's see. Can I turn? I see if I could turn this. I'm going to mute that. Okay, cool. So I'm muting that so they can't see it, so they can't hear it. This is Earl Campbell's one of the greatest stiff arms in football history. He's number 20. This is probably college.
Oh, my
that was
Lord. That was
that's
awesome.
Once more, Maestro.
He picked him up off the
Yeah,
ground, dude.
yeah, that was fantastic. That's Earl Campbell,
That
boys
is
and girls.
epic.
Okay, here's another Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell Beast. Okay, this one's a little bit longer.
If you're just listening, ladies and gentlemen, he
Yeah.
literally picked this gentleman up off the ground and pushed him down and kept running.
Yeah, and I have the YouTube muted so they can't shut us down.
No, but some people are just listening.
Let's get to the plays. Oh, here we go. This is Earl Campbell. Okay. The dude, historically, they've talked about how his thighs were as big as a man's head.
Well, you know who
at
reminds me of him now is Derrick Henry.
Oh, yes. I don't know why Tennessee got rid of Derrick Henry, dude. That was the
Because they were
dumbest move ever.
stupid.
Look at that. Look at that. That's against the Chargers, dude.
Sideways. He was
this is-
stiff arming that dude
right,
running backwards.
right.
Rewind that a little bit.
Right. That was crazy, man.
Rewind it about 15 seconds.
Okay, there we go.
He's running backwards
Boom.
for a second,
Yeah.
stiff arming that dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, do you think Saquon Barkley's something? Google Earl Campbell and Walter Payton.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is why Saquon Barkley is here and doing what he does.
If Steele's listening to this right now, he's
Yeah,
probably
look
like,
at that.
"Oh yeah, Earl Campbell."
look at that. Oh, boom. Watch.
He's just
that
so
was-
big, man.
He was mammoth, and he was fast. Look at
Yeah.
this. He's gonna. Look at that. Look at that. Look, you can't get me down. You can't get me down. There he is again. This is the Cam Scadaboo element right here. Look at that. Just power. Boom.
Running downhill, as they say.
Right. And nobody runs downhill. That was the biggest problem I had with Barkley in New York. He would never just hit the hole and go. He'd always stutter step left, right. Ooh, where do I got to go? Instead of just hitting the hole and going. Then he gets to Phil and he hits the hole. Look at that one. Like he should have been knocked down right there. Instead, he scores a touchdown. And by the way, this guy played with concussions every day.
Oh, no question. Right there, he just smacked helmets with that dude.
That's a Cam Scadaboo, man.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He held the ball out in front of him.
Right. And then he got his jersey ripped off his back. Earl Campbell. Look at that. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. 3 guys. And then he's running over. Oh, get out of my way. Get out of my way. I don't want none of you. Get out of my way. See ya.
All right,
Boom.
because he was the same number, look up some Walter Payton stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna. I was waiting for this one to wrap up. Look at that stiff arm down the ground. See ya.
2 in a row, actually.
Yeah. This one's almost done. Here it comes. Wait for it. Boom. That was awesome.
That was brutal right there.
That was awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna go Peyton. They have somebody doing now. Who is some running back they keep showcasing running up mountains? Like, okay, dude, that's Walter Payton. You're doing Paytons. Let's go. You're doing Paytons. So this is Walter Payton. You can see it, right?
Yep.
So he was a little bit smaller than Earl Campbell. So he had a little bit more speed and quickness, I think.
Oh, he was quite a bit smaller,
but
for sure.
but look at the ankles he's breaking.
His was his center of gravity, man. He was
Yeah,
just so hard
yeah.
to tackle. It wasn't
Right,
that he
like-
was big. You just couldn't tackle him.
Right, like that. And then he could throw. There's a little highlight of him throwing
Yeah,
the
people
ball.
forget about that. He threw, I don't know if quite a few, but he threw a few touchdown
Yeah,
passes.
look at that one. Look at that was crazy.
Yeah, he was like halfway parallel to the ground and stood back up on that one.
Yeah. Whoa.
Obviously, I saw him play a lot of games, man. He was
This is
something special to watch.
This is the 100 scariest players in the NFL. We won't watch all this because it's 15 minutes, but some of these hits are going to, like, you couldn't get away with some of that stuff now.
No,
Ray Lewis.
these are the reasons that they made the rules. Like somebody's gonna die.
Yeah. We don't need to see your antics, murderer. Let's just get to the hits, man. Oh, that was probably the wrong thing. That wasn't enough Walter. I had Walter Payton highlight. Oh, Walter Payton. Oh, jumps over a line. What is that?
I think I remember this one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, he started that shit. Nobody
yeah.
was doing that, man. Nobody was diving. He just went off, man.
He had a hell of a vertical leap, man.
He did, absolutely. Like, just it's like you look at players in the NFL now, they won't even dive for a pass. I don't want to get hurt. There's a couple passes that dart through. If the receiver would have dove, they would have got it. You know, it's like,
And look
come
at
on,
him;
man.
he's landing on his head about 30% of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, he does. It's like, right. It's just, it's amazing. Like the dude was just, look at that one. Wow.
Complete flip over the line.
Yep. And then he gets up because he wasn't on the ground and he still scores. When you land on, that's the cool thing about some football players, man. When they get tackled, they realize they didn't land on the ground yet. They get up and they keep going.
Yeah. To have the
You know what I mean?
presence of
Like,
mind to know that.
Right. To realize your butt hit a shoe and not the turf.
It is fascinating.
And there's the fridge leading the way. Certainly helped him for a lot of his stuff. Here's one. Fight for every yard. Okay, this is a good one.
One of the greatest travesties in the NFL is he didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yep, that should be on Ditka's tombstone. You failed to let Walter score.
Yes.
That's probably the. I like Ditka as a coach. Don't know him as a human.
Oh, we
but
all do.
That was the one thing I'm like, dude, what are you fucking stupid, man? You got the one. And I still, if Emmitt Smith would have retired when he was supposed to retire, he never would have caught Walter Payton, which I think is a travesty because Walter Payton just, where's the stuff, man? Let's go. There we go. Okay. He had that Dion high step. Dion took the high step from Walter Payton. I just realized that.
Yep. No question. Jim McMahon handing the ball off there.
Yep. I love Jim McMahon. I love the fact that he put those headbands on that were calling out.
He was so cool.
Roselle.
Yep.
Right. That was like, what are you gonna do? Find me? And they'd find him. That was back in the day too, kids. That if you didn't subscribe to the NFL uniform policy, you would get fined. So if you wore something that wasn't approved by the league, you would get fined. I remember Hines Ward was wearing pink cleats, and he got fined every game for wearing pink cleats in support of cancer awareness.
And if you didn't play, you didn't get paid. There was
Yeah.
no players union back then.
Yeah, nope.
So these guys were, to Chris's point that he just said a minute ago, they were all playing with concussions because if they didn't play, they didn't get paid.
Yep. There's another strike on the horizon too. I forget if it's the NFL or baseball. One of them collective bargaining agreement is about to expire. Somebody told me that the other day, and I was like, oh, that's fun. Let's just, here it goes. Oh,
That was crazy. He
Wow.
bounced off him backwards and
That
kept
was
running forward.
right.
Took me a second
Right?
to figure out what was going on there.
Yeah, me too. It's like, what is that? Yeah. The dude was a beast, man.
Oh,
Like
he's-
this is Cam Scadaboo for our generation. If he stays healthy long enough to continue doing this.
He was so much fun to watch play football.
Yeah. You don't teach that. That's just ingrained in you. That's just your willingness to just punish other people.
Well, we talk about this a lot. The sheer small percentage of population that ever gets the chance to play at that level.
Yeah.
And then what is the percentage that wants the ball as bad as Walter Payton wanted the ball?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
A lot of guys are happy to be there. They're happy to be on the field. They don't really want to be the center of attention.
Nope.
If the game was on the line and it was down to we're going to fail or succeed, I want the
Yep.
ball. How many
Yep.
of those guys are there? Not many.
Well, and here's Barry.
Oh, yeah, Barry Sanders.
Yeah, Emmitt Smith was a hell of a running back, but I still think it's Jim Brown, it's Walter Payton, it's Barry Sanders. Earl
I agree with
Campbell.
you 100%.
And then
Emmett's in the
Emmitt Smith.
conversation.
Yeah,
but
he's in top
not-
five.
He's not in the top
five.
three.
Yeah, it's Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, Barry Sanders, then Emmitt Smith. I think that's the great top five for running backs. So this is just these are Barry's top 50 plays. You're lucky if you have 10 top plays in your career. This guy had
Yeah, he's
50.
got 50, and there's probably 150 more.
Right, and that's one of the drawback with Walter Payton and Earl Campbell. It wasn't as documented then
Right.
as it was when Barry was starting to play.
Right. Yeah, I don't think people realized that there wasn't a TV crew at every single
No,
game back
right.
then. It was
No.
at whatever the game of the week was.
Yep.
That's the only place that it was being recorded. They weren't recording every game like they do now.
And then and the cool thing about Barry, he was short, but he was so fast. and just the ability to break ankles. Like, and by breaking ankles, I mean that, boys and girls. You move on a dime, and then that 25 stands there and watches you run past him.
Yep.
Oh, Mike Allstott. I just thought of Mike Allstott. We're going to talk about a fullback.
No question.
Yeah, I don't know why that came to my head. It must have been the shoulder pad somebody's wearing. So this is the 40. Look at that. Look at it. Still going. 3 guys to get him
Took
down.
3 guys to
Right?
tackle him. Yeah.
It's kind of like the one of the runs Scadaboo had where he hit number 90 on the Chiefs and broke his ribs, and the guy just kind of slowly stumbles sideways and falls. That's the ankle breaking thing. That's the thing that I want running backs to do more. Just hit the hole and go.
Yep.
Like, just see the hole, go. Don't dance, don't wait, just hit the hole and go. And that's just him running out.
Yeah,
He's
he just
outrunning-
outran everybody
and-
right through
right,
there.
Right.
Took him 45 yards to catch him.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that. Remember that DK Metcalf play when he was on the Seahawks and Russell Wilson got picked off, and he angled down the field and caught up with the intercepting defender, the guy who intercepted the pass, like at the
Yes.
4-yard line. That against the Giants, great. Show the Giants, get him. Too late. Against
Barry
the
was a
Packers,
beast,
yeah,
man.
he was a beast. Game changer, man. It just sucks he was on such a mediocre team.
Not. That's giving him credit. Not even mediocre. They were
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. And he stayed there. He didn't want traded. He didn't
Well,
complain.
people did that back then. That was.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was
you
frowned upon to be traded.
Right.
I think you were just going to say you were respected for your loyalty.
You were. Yeah. You just had a contract, you signed it. That was it, man. You didn't renegotiate that shit. You didn't hold out. You played the game. You were paid to play. It's a contract that I mean, look at this. If he was on the Steelers, dude had 6 Super Bowl rings,
Oh, for sure.
and he was already a Hall of Famer just because of his speed. It sucks he never got a ring. If anybody was more deserving of a ring, I mean, just for the effort he put on the field game after game. Look at that shit, dude.
You know who else is like that played for the Lions is the Hall of Famer, wide receiver. He never won a Super Bowl, and he changed the game as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Megatron.
Yeah, Herman Moore.
No,
Megatron. Okay, yeah, Megatron. I was
Calvin
thinking Herman
Johnson.
Moore, but Megatron, yeah. Yep.
there would be no
Yeah.
one-handed catches and acrobatic shit. Megatron definitely changed the game for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, those teams were horrible as well, but there's
Yeah,
another
they're-
Hall of Famer.
Everybody gives the Beckham the credit for the one-hand catching. That just made it popular because it was on a Sunday night game and the entire world was watching.
Yeah, a lot of that acrobatic shit happened long before that. Calvin Johnson started that.
Yep.
Who was the other guy you just said? Herman Moore.
Herman Moore. Yep. Randy Moss.
Oh, Randy Moss for sure. There's a reason
Beckham- and
ESPN
Beckham-
says you got mossed.
Right. And Beckham did that shit in college. Like, you didn't realize he did it in college till after he did it in that Cowboys game. And then they start showing his college highlights. It's like, okay, this guy's done this for years.
Sure.
And now it's commonplace. Receivers practice catching strange balls with one hand. Look at that, dude. Just a toss that probably had a 10% chance of success. Barry takes it all the way down to what? The 9-yard line?
But you know what? From the moment he took that ball, he knew exactly what he was going to do, and he executed.
Right. Right.
He just
For the most
outran
part.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. He also probably leads the NFL history of plays lost, of yards lost. Because there's lots of times he got stuffed in the backfield. Because again, the Lions sucked.
Yeah, they had no offensive line back then for sure.
Yeah. So it wasn't uncommon for him to have, 130 yards in the third quarter, and then by the fourth quarter he had, 110.
True story.
But look at that, just a different gear, man.
Oh yeah.
Just it's sad they don't make football players like that anymore because everybody's just,
Well, it's a different game for sure.
it is a different game, and you don't play if you have a bruise anymore. You have to sit out because I'm out for a contusion of my inner thigh. So you bruised your thigh. Yes, I did. I can't run because I got a contusion right there.
My pinky toe is inflamed.
Right? Like, okay, wrap it with an ace bandage, take some Tylenol, get your ass out there. That Any Given Sunday question with Al Pacino when he's coaching: are you injured or are you hurt? Because if you're injured, you can't play. But if you're hurt, you can. I'm
Right.
hurt, coach. Get your ass back in there.
There's a difference.
That right there was the epitome of ankle breaking. He broke like 4 ankles in that.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's just hitting the hole and going. A tiny little hole and you hit it and go. The vision that he had on the field, just insane.
Which is why he gained so many yards after he hit the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
His yards after the line of scrimmage have to be way up there, like in the top 5 ever.
Yeah. Have to be.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He should have been tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Now he's 40 yards down the
That
field.
was a horse collar too. Nowadays, that's a horse collar. Back then, it's like just a tackle. This is back in the day where you could face mask. Unless your helmet came off, you didn't get a penalty for face masking.
Which is so dangerous.
Oh yeah.
It's a wonder more people weren't paralyzed.
Well, they played with reckless abandon, and they all played, at a high level. So I think, but see, back then too, right? You had preseason where you actually hit, and you had full pad practices, and you had hitting drills and tackling drills and all that kind of shit 2-a-days. So by the time you got to the 14-game season, you had already spent 4 weeks getting your ass beat. So you actually were in football shape to get hit and deliver punishment.
Right?
Just like that. That was an ankle breaker. That was a perfect example of an ankle breaker.
Yeah, he should have been down right there.
Right. Yeah. Because you couldn't tackle Barry with your arms. If you tried to tackle Barry with your arms, you were not going to be successful.
Right there, he should have been tackled at midfield.
Well,
he
yep.
did a 360 pirouette and
Yep,
ran in for a
yep.
touchdown.
Yep. And that was him just breaking through a hole.
Gone again.
See ya. Yep. And we don't know him from anything, but from everything I've ever seen him talk, he seems like a very humble, just down to earth, gracious human being who does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see from a philanthropic standpoint. Look at that. See ya. Behind the referee. He was behind the referee.
Well, that's why they called Walter Payton Sweetness, because everybody said he was one of the
Yep.
nicest people.
Look
you
at
ever
that.
wanna
That
meet.
was amazing.
That was cool.
That was an amazing run right there. Yeah. Yeah. Walter, and when you hear Walter Payton talk, if you had your eyes closed and you heard Walter Payton talking, no way in hell you thought that was Walter Payton.
No.
No way in hell. He was such a very soft-spoken, gentle human.
Out there playing with
You
those
just-
animals.
Yep. Look at that one. There's no reason he should have gotten out of that.
I don't know how
Did
he
you
got
see what
out
he
of
just
that.
did?
Yeah.
That was insane. They can run the top 2 now against the Patriots.
Well, what he did in that last play is
Whoa.
he became the defense. He actually tackled the 2 guys who were trying to tackle
Yep.
him and kept running.
Okay, they're going to come up with the best play ever for him. That's an ankle breaker right there. Okay,
Yep.
number 1 all time, Barry Sanders play against the Cowboys, which is great. Okay.
You have got to be kidding me, dude.
Wow.
2/3 of the
Watch-
defense
here-
were surrounding him.
Here it is. Whoop.
You literally have 2/3
Yeah.
of the defense.
Yeah. Holy shit, man. He's just gone. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Barry Sanders.
Mr. Barry Sanders.
Go Google Barry Sanders. Do yourself some justice, man. That was fantastic.
That's awesome.
That was fantastic. All right, we'll wrap this puppy up. I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is Chris and Mike Show. Again, Martha Burich was on our show, MarthBurich. Go to Amazon, buy her book, How to Raise Happy and Responsible Children. Super cool lady. We'll get you back on, Martha. Not sure what happened, the internet connection-wise, but, that is the hassle with the internet sometimes.
It happens. Thanks,
It does
Martha.
happen. Thank you, Martha. Absolutely. And remember, boys and girls, people out there, if you're feeling sad, sorrowed, depressed, suicidal, go run, go scream in a pillow, go journal, go do something to take your mind off, change your mindset, go meditate. Text 988. Somebody is there ready to talk to you, to help you through whatever you're struggling with. Tomorrow is always a better day because you're going to wake up and be part of that day and not leave a hole in somebody else's heart, because somebody does love you, whether you realize that or not. I'm Chris. He's Mike. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thanks
Until
for listening.
Absolutely. Until next time. See ya.
Peace.